Hi everyone, and welcome again to this Visual Public Sector broadcast. Today we're going to be talking about digital skills and digital innovation having an impact on a regional agenda. And I'm really pleased to have David Frost, who's the chairman of the Stoke-on-Trent and Staffordshire LEP today. Okay, welcome all, and welcome again to this public sector broadcast. I'm really pleased to be joined today by David Frost, who's the chairman of our local enterprise partnership trust here, the Stoke-on-Trent and Staffordshire LEP. I've got lots of questions for you today, David. I hope you don't mind that.
Not at all.
I guess first and foremost, just to kick off the interview, would you be kind enough to just kind of introduce yourself and what your role is in the LEP?
Okay. Well, I'm chairman of the Stoke and Staffordshire LEP, the local enterprise partnership. It's one of 38 LEPs that cover England. And we're a public-private partnership, bringing together local authority and business leaders really to map out, plan and implement an economic strategy for Stoke-on-Trent and Staffordshire.
Yeah, and the chairman's role is a fairly significant role. You get involved in lots of different things, lots of different connections.
Well, it is a significant role. It's a role not just of, I think, local and regional importance, but now with such interventions as the Midlands Engine and Midlands Connect, our work up in the Northern Gateway. Yes, it's a job that takes you into both central government and local government and the business community.
Brilliant. And I guess there's a few people that may be watching this that might not know all of the ins and outs of the the LEP programme. Could you just give us a view of what the LEP programme is more generically across those 38 regions, and what are the kind of key areas of focus for the LEPs?
Okay. Well, they were established at a time in 2010 when the economy was pretty much in the doldrums, and I think a view very strongly from government that they could solve certainly the big issues of the economy, but at a local level, really it was local businesses, local authority leaders that had a much greater understanding of what needed to be done to boost the economy. Yeah. So essentially, powers were devolved. The LEPs were able to bid into the government for growth deal funds, city deal funds, to carry out works for economic development, to unblock issues that would then lead to economic growth, to invest in areas such as skills, which would kickstart growth. And therefore the 38 LEPs that we've got are doing similar initiatives, but in very different ways, which reflect their own localities.
Yeah, and I guess when we look at this region that I've been brought up, bred in this region, obviously work in this region from Tamworth originally. Mm-hmm. When you look across a region like Stoke-on-Trent and Staffordshire, it's very diverse, isn't it, in terms of the needs of a city like Stoke-on-Trent versus the needs of a region like Staffordshire, which got high areas of rural engagement, plus things like Lichfield, Tamworth, Burton-on-Trent. Can you give us an insight and vision of what some of the challenges that you've got when you're looking at a region like Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent, and some of the things that are embedded into your plan?
Well, you've said a lot of it really, but I mean, interesting. I mean, it lies between two major big urban conurbations. To the south, Greater Birmingham, to the north, Greater Manchester. But within that, there is, as you say, huge diversity. So you've got Stoke-on-Trent, which was obviously is very heavily related to the ceramics sector.
Yeah, and it's interesting that there's a real history of innovation and change across that Stoke-on-Trent ceramic area, isn't it? I was just saying to you before, I'm reading a book around marketing, and Josiah Wedgwood was cited in that as the first real business marketeer. Very interesting.
It's a sector that still is undergoing real transformation, a sector that's alive and kicking, exporting a huge amount. So you've got the ceramic sector in the north. In the south, you've clearly got Lichfield, a big civic area, cathedral city. You've got Cannock Chase, obviously former mining area. Tamworth, which was almost overspill for Birmingham, big distribution area. And Burton upon Trent, which has obviously been aligned with brewing. And then here in Stafford, we've a very mixed economy with the MOD moving large group of people back from Germany into here, big MOD presence, big public service presence as well. And then of course you've got the moorlands up to the north, which takes you into the Peak District as well. So a hugely diverse area, but I think that's one of its strengths. If you look at this area, and I think many parts of the country would give their right on to have an economy as balanced. I say, well, look, if you look in the north, you've got JCB as an anchor company there. Big international engineering company headquartered there. In the south, you've got a Jaguar Land Rover engine plant. Two major anchors. You've got Alton Towers tourism in the north, Drayton Manor in the south. You've got the MOD here. You've got an engineering sector. You've got a big agricultural sector, professional services sector, and then of course you've got distribution. Because of our location between these two big conurbations, it's a natural base to put distribution. So whether it's here in Stafford, it's Tamworth, it's Cannock, it's Stoke, you'll see big distribution depots, and that will continue to grow. And then of course you place on top of that, we've got HS2 going to come blazing through up to Crewe. So a very well balanced economy, very different from the south, say in the Black Country, which is reliant on manufacturing, metal bashing. Here it's very diverse, which is a huge strength.
And I guess that's the challenge for all of the LEPs, is in looking at that diversity in the regions and making the right decisions for those regions. So with all that diversity across the region, and as you say, public sector being a big employer, particularly in Stafford, and will continue to be so as the garrison, the MOD site gets bigger here. How do you distill a kind of 3 or 4 key strategies to make the region grow? Because I was looking at your strategic document, 42 pages, lots and lots of detail in there, a lot of thought about how you drive it. But if you were looking at 2 or 3 key things from that strategy, what would they be, and how are you going to drive those?
Well, to me, it's about, very simplistically, people say, what's the level of that? I'd say it's about more jobs, it's about better jobs, and it's about higher paid jobs. So that's what we would want to see. Well, the more jobs we're clearly doing, we estimate probably about an extra 25,000 jobs over the last 5 years. Some evidence of some better jobs. For example, we've mentioned the Army. We've got the Jaguar Land Rover engine plant to come in. Higher paid jobs is I think the big challenge. Because of our location, there is this constant pressure on logistics and distribution, and that is not a high paid sector, and that's not a high value added sector. We've got to ensure with the land that we've still got available that we're going to make best use of that and get companies such as Alstom, which is now General Electric, really big players that are at the cutting edge of technology. Companies like yourselves here in Risual really starting to play their role in driving up those more better, but in particularly higher paid jobs.
Yeah, and I guess when we think about digital skills and digital innovation and tech as a whole, that has quite an impact on GVA, doesn't it? The gross value add.
It does, yeah.
Not just in terms of employability and lifting the wages of people, digital skills gap, but also influencing other sectors as well. Can you give us a view of how important, say, digital skills, digital innovation and tech is to your plan and across the region as well?
Well, it has to, I think, underpin a large part of the plan. If I mentioned more, better, higher paid jobs. That's translated what's termed 50-50-10. So it's 50,000 jobs, 50% uplift in GVA over a 10-year period. And to get that GVA, we're going to have to be doing far more with tech. Well, I mean, if we look at it, I mean, even the logistics, distribution, technologies at the forefront. I've been around a lot of new investors in the area in that sector, and they're not just big sheds with people humping boxes around. They're driven by technology.
Yeah, fantastic.
Absolutely clear. But that's not enough. What I would like to see is a development of a tech cluster. We've got a lot of good leading companies here involved in the sector, but it's very disparate.
Yeah.
It's not joined up, and I often reflect that. What would the prize be if we could join them up? If we could have some form of tech cluster itself, some form of greenfield development where we're not putting car showrooms or warehouses on, but we've got technology companies clustered together with a university there as well, all playing off each other, playing to specific strengths, not least because of our location, as I say, in the centre of the country with great communications, but really bringing things together.
Yeah, I think it's been interesting because I previously interviewed Jeremy Lefroy, our local MP, and we had this. I mean, I know our owners are in line with this, but this kind of Silicon Stafford, not Silicon Valley, but Silicon Stafford, and trying to do our best to take the greatness that we see in little companies like ourselves, where we're really kind of driving tech and digital, like say, bring them together as a tech hub or a tech region. I think the other interesting thing for me is the investments that we've seen in places like the university to drive innovation and change. Some great investment there, and in terms of the tech and music industry, and how again we take advantage of that as a region to bring people in. And not only just bring people into the region, but get them to stay here and live here and bring into the economy as well. Do you have a perspective on that? Or?
It needs someone to lead this, because I think there is a real opportunity for a cluster, greenfield site, new development, a lot of parking, but with communications onto the rail, onto the roads, that would have companies such as Ridgefield, but as I say, would also be bringing in the universities into there as well. Would be attracting the bright young people in those universities to be working in their spare time with those businesses. To then start to explore how some of those young people could actually be setting up their own businesses within the area. Just getting that grouping of business, which I think would then, quite frankly, explode into a much bigger set. At the moment, my concern at the moment, we've got sort of right across Stoke and Staffordshire, we've got some really good tech companies doing good things, but it's not clustered. It's not joining. It's not joining up. We're not marketing it successfully enough.
And do you think that the youth that's coming into this programme and finding opportunities, they can have a part in bringing that together? Obviously, thinking about kind of apprenticeship programmes and connected programmes, maybe. Do you think that's a way to bring that together?
Well, clearly, young people have got to have a role within this, and what we've got to do is to show them that there are opportunities at various levels. Yes, apprenticeships, the government's putting huge store on apprenticeships, and we've got to make sure that business buys into that schools, parents, young people see the value of those apprenticeships, but importantly lead to good quality jobs. It's not training on the cheap. Secondly, with the university students, it's about showing them that there's an opportunity as well. One of the big issues for many parts of the country is that when young people graduate, they all go down to London, and that's actually growing, not falling away. Now, I'm not saying you want everybody to stay where they've been to college or university, but we can do better.
You want to utilise that asset.
You want to utilise that, but you've got to give them opportunities. You've got to give them opportunities, both job-wise, but it's more than that. Young people are much more interested in purely have I got a job. It's the wraparound. It's about the leisure, the nightlife, the living, the housing, making sure that we've got an offer that really works for all of them.
Yeah, maybe with all the HS2 coming through and the closer connections to Stafford and Cheshire, we'll be able to maintain them here living, maybe.
Well, that's what we're working with at the moment. So we're working with Cheshire and Warrington, LEP, our neighbouring LEP, which are really across the other side of the M6 at junction 16, to say, well, okay, if and when HS2 comes into Crewe in 2027, how do we ensure that we maximise the value for that? How do we plan for what sort of future that we want, linking that area, particularly Stafford, Stoke, across to Crewe? What sort of vision have we got for it? What we don't want is just a collection of rabbit hutches for houses and boxes for warehouses. Do we want a garden city there? Do we do we want to see some form of clustering going on there as well? So the work's going on with that as well.
And that's the interesting thing there is, with HS2 coming in, that will give us a great direct and very fast line into the region. But of course, then we've got to make sure that the local transport provides those connections from those transport hubs into places of employment as well, haven't we? And make sure that we focus on that too.
We do. So as you say, it's coming in and getting out. This area is already well connected to London, and it's not just about bringing businesses out. It's essentially saying, well, actually, what you could have is an economy that has a part of it built on people living here in a really nice part of the world with good quality of life, good schools, housing, etc. But equally working 2 or 3 days a week in London, then coming back, having their own businesses, having business incubator units where they could start up, again allowing them to cluster around. I mean, every time you look at this issue, you come back to this. The key point: we've got a fantastic location and a great quality of life. So how do we start maximizing knowledge?
So what would be your advice to people? I know we've got a close connection with you as a business, but what would be your advice to the local businesses, both public sector and commercial businesses, to get involved in this program, and how can they influence this program positively with you?
Well, absolutely, they should get involved. There is no question about that as well, because the businesses such as yourselves, businesses of some scale and some understanding, you're the people that are going to drive the economy. But it's not the public sector. It's not we can help solve the problem, put issues in place, but it's business that's going to drive. So only by you guys collectively as businesses articulating what it is that you want, how you see the future, what's holding up your growth and development. Can the LEP and its partners start to act on that, and then start to deal with it by putting in measures, whether it be new roads, reducing red tape by increasing the skill levels that we're going to allow you guys to grow. So yes, you should be doing it, you should be working with the LEP. But I think also taking a leadership role yourself. So galvanising the tech sector in our LEP area, getting a common view as to how you see the future, how you would like to shape it, and then, as I say, what support you want from the LEP and its partners to make that happen. So
leading from the front, driving with innovation, and as simple as just connecting with you guys and just sharing ideas, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah? but we would welcome that entirely. Taking this tech sector to come together and say, look, here's a 15-year plan as to how we see the future. We think that this sector could grow enormously in Stoke and Staffordshire, but to do it, we need this, that, and A, B, and C.
So you've just been talking about future and 15 years ahead. Maybe if I was to transport you, and I know your plan takes you up to 2030, but if we were to kind of move forward 15 years, what do you think the challenges would be there? What would it be? A very different place? Because things moved at a hell of a pace, don't they, nowadays?
Well, I'd like to say I knew, but I mean, if you look back 15 years and you look at some of the developments and achievements and the technological change that's happened over those last 15 years, have I really got a clue what it's going to look like in 15 years? No, I don't. But what I do know is that location will continue to be important. Proximity to customers will be important, and human capital, individuals and skills will still be vital. We will not be an economy run by machines. People have this but you will need the people and the people skills. And we've got to ensure that we have all the support structures to ensure we've got that.
I think that, well, I've been born and bred in this region. I've seen lots of change in my time here. But as I said right at the beginning, one thing that's been really evident for me in this region is this kind of constant willingness to change and innovate, whether it's industry and re-galvanise our view and move industry forward, look at new ways and new industries, or looking at new innovation. So I'm hopeful for the future of this region, and I'm hopeful that the plans that are embedded into the LEP programme will give us more options as we move forward, not just for myself but for my children as they get older.
And I think you could be assured that's going to happen. What's always interested me is why some areas they've been hit very badly by recession. Some have done remarkably well and some haven't changed. Some are still stuck in the doldrums, but others have powered ahead. I think this is an area powered ahead, and I think, well, why has that happened? And I think leadership is very strong. I don't mean just be leadership from the local authorities, but leadership from business, by people coming forward and demanding and driving change. It's about, as I say, location, and I think really, really importantly, it's about having an economy that looks outwards, sees a globalised, an increasingly globalised world, and is determined that they're going to take advantage of that.
Excellent. An excellent closing words for our interview. I really do appreciate your time, appreciate your comments, and hopefully we can catch up again soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For joining us for this regional public sector broadcast. As you know, this is part of a series. Do look the other public sector broadcasts on YouTube for us. Please do like, subscribe and comment. We'd appreciate it. Thanks again.